This is a recorded presentation from our WordPress Meetup for WordPress St. Petersburg at the Tech Garage. Please allow me to introduce Sami for his presentation of search engine optimization.
So thank you everybody for coming. My name is Sami, or actually I'm from Finland, so my name is actually Sami from there. And I've been doing WordPress for like 1 year now, and like making websites there and intensively trying to learn a lot about WordPress. You can go to the next slide. Does this work or?
Oh, it might not be on. Let's see. Well, that's all. If you hit second. Oops. Oh, here it goes. It was being a little late, I guess. There you go. Now it's working.
All right. So in the 1 year that I've been doing WordPress, one of the things that I've been pretty interested about is the SEO, search engine optimization. And in 1 year, like I've certainly not become a pro or professional, but I feel like there's a lot of things that I can share that will be beneficial for someone who isn't as familiar with the process and what I really like to do. Well, first of all, I'm from Helsinki, Finland. I played golf competitively for 13 years, moved to the States in 2012, graduated from University of New Orleans in business, and like I said, WordPress experience 1 year. So one of the things that I really wanted to understand about SEO is the kind of like the way of thinking. Like there's so many factors that change all the time in SEO, but I feel like they all, in the end, they serve this one kind of way of thinking in the end, and that's kind of what I call here the philosophy of SEO. And I wanted to kind of start with that and share that with you guys. And then after covering that, I'll like kind of take you through the setup process. When you make a website, what's the best way to set your website for SEO? And kind of like, because there's these certain things that you need to do for the like successful kind of, so you get started. And then I'll also introduce some tools or talk a little bit about some tools that will be helping in that process, and then some strategy also. All right, so first of all, why should you even care about SEO and why is it important? I think probably the biggest thing is that if you are in the search engines, like visible, ranked high, people will come to you. There's your target audience, and they will come to you. And if someone is searching for something and they find you, there's a big chance they're going to buy from you if you're selling something or whatever it is that you want them to do. There's a big chance that you get them as your clients or customers because they are looking for you. You're not going out for them. And then, of course, it's free, it's organic traffic, but of course the process itself might not be free for you depending on like if you want to pay for the knowledge or something like that, but itself you're not paying Google for the traffic, it's non-paid. And then of course once you have the real momentum, once you start getting really good results, really good high rankings, then you can really start getting a lot of traffic after that. So then that leads me to the challenge with SEO, and of course it's not so easy to rank high on Google, especially when you're starting, and the reason is because there's so much competition for all these keywords. When you there can be thousands, or like depending if you're a local business and you're targeting local keywords, there might be less, but you're still competing with a lot of people for those keywords. And so therefore it can take some time until you get some results, and it takes a lot of consistent effort. So this guy, Neil Patel, said that, who's like a SEO expert, he says that it takes about 6 months for you to see any results in SEO, and then up to like a year to get like real results. I don't know, I mean, it depends, of course, but that's like some kind of direction for that, like how much it takes time. And that 6 months is assuming that you're doing consistent work with it. And then, but when you do it consistently for long enough time, you can win eventually. All right. So part of me explaining the philosophy of SEO, I wanted to start from very scratch. So the definitions. So what are the search engines? So search engines are what, like Google. What do you use every day to find whatever you're looking for on the internet? Search engine optimization, SEO, is you optimizing your website to be found on the search engines. So then, part of like the core of my philosophy for SEO is that we need to understand that what Google is and what it wants. So Google is a business, and Google wants to make money. So the way they make money, or in other words, the more users they have, the more money they will make, even though you're not paying directly to them, but the more users they have, the more ad money they get, and like from different directions, the more valuable it'll be as a company. That's why they want as many searchers and users as possible. So, but then how do they get those people to use their service? Is by giving the most relevant and the highest quality search results to the users. And then that leads me that I think there's actually just two goals in SEO. Number one is that you give the most relevant content and use the most relevant keywords that you think your target audience is going to use. And that's like the kind of where everything starts. That's what helps you to rank in the first place for those keywords that you want to be ranked for. Let's say you're a restaurant in St. Pete. You might want to be ranked for, be relevant for the keyword restaurants in St. Pete, for example. So that's like where everything starts. But then there's going to be a lot of relevant search results. So Google puts those into an order, into a ranking, and that's where we talk about the search SEO rankings or Google rankings. And that's where the high quality comes in. So the second goal is to make our content in our website as high of a quality as possible. And of course, you might be thinking like, what is how do you define high quality? So that depends on your target audience. So the way Google, there's many ways, factors that affect the quality. Basically, that's how Google ranks your website. But let's say if you give enough value to your target audience, when they land on your website, they want to dig deeper, they want to read more, and Google will see those user signals, and Google will think that your content is high quality, and then reverse. Also, if they also share it a lot. So, okay. All right. So basically, the SEO process is kind of in two areas. So I'll just real quickly say there's on-page SEO or on-page optimization, and then there's off-page optimization. So on-page optimization is what happens on the website, everything that you do on your website for your rankings. And the off-page optimization is everything that happens off your website for your rankings, that affect your rankings. And so off-page optimization includes backlinks, and that's actually one of the biggest factors that there is for the trust, for the quality factor of your website, that if Google sees that a lot of other websites are linking to your website, Google will think that it's high quality, also assuming that those are high quality links. If you're getting links from very bad websites, like that had viruses or are just in bad reputation with Google, you will actually be hurt by that. So you want to make sure that those backlinks that you get as many as possible, as good quality links as possible. And it's kind of hard process to kind of get backlinks, but it comes down to having good quality content on your website. When you have good quality, people want to share it, people want to write about it, and so forth. And then social media marketing is also about the off-page optimization. So yeah, that's more about the quality goal. So then on-page optimization is what I'm mostly going to talk about today, and that's what happens on the website and what you can do on your website to affect your rankings. And that starts with the relevance that you make. You pick the keywords that you're going to use, that your target audience is going to use, etc. But we'll go deeper. Okay, so setting up your site for SEO. I feel like there is this, when you make an WordPress installation or you just start a new website, there's certain things that you should do right away, especially when you publish the website. First of all, if you know what you're doing with SEO, you don't necessarily have to get the Yoast SEO plugin. Like this is enough for those who know. But if you don't know, I would highly recommend that you would download the Yoast SEO plugin, because there's these certain things that you need to do, set up, and they are technical, but the Yoast SEO plugin makes it very easy. Then the second thing you should do is that you should have a Google Search Console account, which is actually, you automatically have that if you have a Gmail account. So you just go there with you log in with your Gmail account, and that's it. You will have that, and then through the Yoast plugin, Yoast SEO plugin, you can verify your website with the Google Search Console. I feel like that's like one of the biggest first steps that you take towards a good SEO, that you verify your website with Google. That's the way that they can communicate with you about it. I'll talk more about Search Console later. Then you will also link your sitemap to the Search Console, and sitemap, I'll talk more about it, but it's basically the map for search engines mainly of your website content. And so then one thing that I recommend doing, because one of the big factors about SEO is the linking structure, that how your URLs are, not linking structure, how your URLs are. So how your web address is. If it doesn't make any sense the way it's formed, it's going to be bad for SEO. If it makes a lot of sense, then it's going to be good for SEO. So I'll show you in a bit how you can make your permalinks, which to post name, which is actually doing that. And then also, lastly, I would create a Google Analytics account right away, and then that's free. All of it is free, by the way. And then one really easy way to connect your Google Analytics account to your website is by downloading the Monster Insights plugin. I think there's other ones too, but that's a good one. Monster Insights plugin that you can use very easily to connect your Google Analytics account to your website. And by the way, real quick about the Google Analytics, there's certain things that you need to include in your privacy policy when you're tracking people who come to your website. So then just be aware of that. That's another topic.
What is Monster Insight? What is that?
So that's a plugin in WordPress that is free, and it uses Google Analytics to gather the information.
But you can directly configure Google Analytics in WordPress just by getting the script.
What's that?
You can directly link your Google Analytics with the ID directly with the WordPress.
Yeah, that's
So why do
true.
you need a plugin?
Do you know like a very easy way to do that without the plugin?
Well, the regular Google Analytics script, copy and paste.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I guess it's not that hard. You can totally do that. You can definitely do that.
A lot of people don't like it too.
No, but even Google Analytics has their own plugin as well in the WordPress, if I remember.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because they allow just by copying and pasting the ID, you can link it.
Okay. Yeah. Like the goal of that is just to link it to your WordPress website. One way to do it is the Monster Insights plugin. That might be another way, and then there's just the script, of course. So yeah, about the Google Search Console. So it's basically an SEO tool SEO tool that Google provides you for free. It's mainly meant for the communication between your site and Google. It notifies your site when there's something hurting your SEO rankings, like your search rankings. You get like these notifications that this thing should be better on your website, and then you know right away, and you can fix it immediately so that it doesn't affect your rankings. And so then it also helps the trust, like I said, like Google will verify your website that way, and then it'll be the first step towards the trust with Google. And then also it'll help your webs to make sure that your website gets indexed in Google, and which means that you will be ranked. Okay, so I just have some quick little things so you have some kind of idea how to do it. You can find these videos probably online, like many videos, how to do these technical things, but I just wanted to show really quickly how easily you can link it. So this is the Yoast SEO plugin, and at the left side you can see there's SEO tab, and below it is General. You go to the General tab, to the Webmaster Tools on top, and then you see the Google Search Console kind of box there. You press the link, and by the way, this process is verifying your site with the Search Console. So by this time you already have downloaded the Yoast SEO plugin, and you already have the account with your Google Search Console. So click the link, the number 3 one. Here you put your domain, and you will add a property. Then you go, this is the verification process. So it gives you many options. Go to the alternate methods. It gives you this, I don't know what it's called, but this code. And the code that is between, basically here, there's like quotes here and here. So between those quotes, there's a code that you need, and make sure that you get that code, and then you copy and paste it over here. And then you save changes, and that's it. And then after you've done that, go back to Search Console and click Verify, and then it'll probably say that it was verified. There might be problems sometimes, but that's usually how it goes. Oh, okay.
It's the other side. The receiver's right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you keep pointing over here, so it's on that side.
All right. All right, so I talked a little bit about sitemap. That's one of the things for the setup process that you need. So what it is that you don't have to worry about sitemap. Like, it's something that you just don't have to worry about it. But it's just something that Google wants you to create and then link to the Search Console. But you don't have to basically do anything.
So it's not like it used to be a sitemap with you create one page with different sitemap, with all your links on one page.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, but the Yoast SEO plugin creates it automatically to you.
In WordPress?
In WordPress, yeah. So once you have, that's at least how I think it is right now, that when you have the Yoast SEO plugin,
yes,
it'll automatically, as long as you have the tab, it'll be allowed by default that it makes you a sitemap.
And it shows on the website? Can you show?
I will, yeah.
I think you're asking the difference between what he's talking about is a sitemap that actually is transmitted to Google and processed. So you're talking about one on the website. Those are completely different things.
That's it.
Yeah, they don't. Yoast does not create a published sitemap on your website.
Oh, okay, yeah. It creates for the search engine this sitemap.
On the background.
Basically, yeah. Like, I never even have to worry about it. You go to the SEO tab, General, and you go to Features, and here there's a XML Sitemaps tab. I click here the question mark. It says here that see the XML sitemap. You click that. Then it takes you to the sitemap itself. All you have to do is to take the last part of this URL, which is after your domain. So mine is samivani.com/that. So then grab that. And then you go to the Search Console. All you have to do is to go, there's Crawl tab here. Under that, there's Sitemaps. Then you go, here's a button that says Add and Test Sitemap. Put the rest of the part that you just copied over there. Then you can press Test first. And then when it tests, it usually just says that everything went okay. Then if everything went okay, then do it again. Click the button again, put it here, and then this time click Submit. And then everything should be fine. And that's all you have to do to sitemap. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about it again unless you want to publish it on your website.
So I have a question here. If you use the Yoast SEO Premium, does that do by itself?
With the premium?
Yes.
Well, I have never used the premium plugin by myself, but I don't see why not. Like, have you used it?
That's what I've used.
Okay.
But I haven't done this. I have to check.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, as long as you have the sitemap created by the plugin.
That's where I actually came to all this place.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, your actual published sitemap, the one that you'd actually want on your site that has links.
I haven't checked this. This is
typically that's a theme function. It's not typically a plugin function. I've not seen any plugins that actually build an on-site sitemap for you.
Right.
Yeah. Are you wanting to have a sitemap for the users?
No.
Just for this purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you have the Yoast plugin, I mean, that's where you do it. You go to the
yeah, I got it.
over here. You find it there, and it should be it. And then you just link it this way. I don't see why it wouldn't be that way with the premium plugin too. Okay, so then here's real quickly how you change the URL structure. It's usually not by default, the post name. It's usually like day and name or something like that. But I would recommend to change it to the post name unless you know what you're doing, unless you have like some custom structure or something like that. You'll probably know when you know that that's not the way. But if you don't know, then post name is the way to go, at least unless someone knows better way.
Can you explain this? Is it like when you create a page or a post, the name you give the title, is it related to that?
Yeah, basically when you create a page or a post, it creates a URL automatically for that. This is where you decide that what's going to be the structure that it automatically uses. And this post name, as far as I know, is the most SEO friendly way to do that.
Let's try to hold the questions till toward the end so that you can get to the presentation. Okay, guys? Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, so talk a little bit about keywords, and that's basically where the relevancy factor starts. That's where you want to know, or you want to at least think what your target audience would search on Google so that they can find you. And so then, and that you can rank for the right keyword. So then here, I don't know, you might have heard this term SERPs or SERP, and what it is, it's search engine results page. So basically every time you make a search, do a search on Google, you will see the results, and that's called SERP. So here, the first result or results are usually ads. Here it says ad in my language in Finnish. And then the next ones that don't say the ad are organic SEO results, search results that are a result of SEO practice. And they're free. Oh. Whoops.
Go too far.
And overspeed.
There we go.
Here we go. Yeah, so here what's important to you to know about the SERPs is that there's the title, that's called title tag, and then there's the description text, that's called meta description. So if you ever hear these terms, that's what they mean, and they're very relevant for SEO because that's the, let's say that's your website's or your web page's search result. That's the text that's going to show to the people. So it's not only important, you will need to use your keywords so that they show on the title tag and meta description, not only because it's a good way, like a ranking factor for Google, but also if you think about that you're looking for something on Google, let's say restaurants in St. Pete again, and if the title tag or meta description doesn't say anything about St. Pete or restaurants in St. Pete, how likely are you to click that? So that's the thing, that it is very important that you make sure that in the title tags and meta descriptions it says those keywords that you think that are important for the target audience. But the Yoast SEO again has made it really easy for you to do that for each page and post that you have. So if you in WordPress create a new page or post, you can just you go to the editing view, which is this one, but you scroll down a little bit, you will see this window where it says edit snippet, I think that's what it is, and then you click that, then you will see this window. And here it says SEO title, that's the title tag, that's the title tag result for that page, and then the meta description here, that is the text. And Google has also made rules for how long this can be. So the Yoast SEO has given you here this green bar that if it's a good length, it will show you if it's too short or if it's too long. So you don't want to make it too long or too short because you don't want to be hurt in your rankings. Okay, so places where you can include these keywords are title tags and meta descriptions that I just talked about. And those, I would say, probably the most important ones, but then of course it is also important to use them in your content, in your text, within the posts and pages, because because when someone is looking for something and they already found out that you have it, you should keep using those keywords in your content for them, but also so you rank higher or rank more for those keywords. H1, H2, H3 heading tags are of the heading tags that have the most weight of what Google looks for keywords at. So include some of the keywords in those heading tags. Those are the titles on your content, and then URL is actually a very big thing. Like if you have some keyword on your URL, then it'll be more likely that it'll show up on the results when it's in your URL. And I'm not talking about only your basic domain, but let's say your post is about cooking. You need to say that cooking in your URL. And back to what I said earlier about the URL structure, when you made it as a post name, that way, if the name of the post is cooking, it will be included in the URL. So all you have to do is to name the post or the page based on that, whatever it is about. And then paragraphs is of course the last thing where you also want to include in your content. It's basically the basic text that you have under the titles. And so that's also where you want to include some of the keywords. All right, so about strategy a little bit. It's very easy to say that use the keywords, what you're about, but it's also good to mention that the most common keywords are the most competed ones. And if you only use very competed keywords and you have just started, there's very slim chance that you'll really rank for any of them, or you will rank, but you will be in the page 100 because you don't have that trust from Google yet. And there's kind of a problem with that when you're starting and you don't have that trust yet. So one way that I think is a good way to start building your rankings is by, for example, picking a topic that you want to write about on your website. And then let's say if it's, for example, about restaurants in St. Pete, you would start going really deep into that topic in that post. And then what this allows you to do is that you're not only using keywords restaurants in St. Pete, because that's probably pretty competitive, but you'll be using, for example, Italian restaurants in St. Pete, vegan restaurants in St. Pete, Greek restaurants in St. Pete, and so on. And then if you go under those topics, you can go even more specific with the keywords that you use in the content. For example, expensive Italian restaurants, cheap Italian restaurants. So that way, if you go very deep in that topic, you will get the opportunity to use a lot of long tail keywords, which means keywords that have more words in them. And you'll have more opportunities to rank for less competed keywords. Because I don't think so many people will be competing with cheap Italian restaurants in St. Pete, if you know what I mean. But there might be people who are searching for that. So if you have enough of those, you will probably start getting traffic eventually. And in Google Analytics, you can also track which keywords bring you traffic. And then also use keywords naturally. Don't always the goal is to make it for the people, not for the search engine. Because if people came to your website and they see that it's just a list of keywords, there's no value for them. They're going to bounce back right away, and that's going to be a bad signal to Google. So you want people to keep reading your content. That's the main goal that you should have. All right, so a few places where you can do keyword research is the Google Keyword Planner. That's what I usually use. I don't know, someone else might be better able to explain if it's free or not. Like it's basically not free. You need Google AdWords account, and what they, as far as I know, they require you to spend a little bit of money in Google AdWords, but I made that account with like very little budget, and I plugged in very little budget for my AdWords account, and then I've been able to use Google Keyword Planner since then. I don't think it has charged much at all, so I think it can be very cheap. And then one place where you can also check for keywords is Uber Suggest. That's one that I recently found out about. And then SpyFu and SEMrush, they're actually pretty expensive tools, but I think there's some free versions of them too, or something, trials. What they are good for, what I think they're good for is that if you want to know how your competitors are ranking, for example, if you want to get like more kind of serious about SEO, you can be wondering how is my next door restaurant, for example, ranking what words for. I think that's what these are good for, but I haven't personally used them. I've just done research. So I personally usually just Google Keyword Planner. And how it works is that you put a keyword, let's say you put web design or web design in Clearwater or whatever. It will give you a list of suggested similar keywords that then you can start writing down. It'll give you some stats about them, like for example, monthly search volume, if it's between 1,000 and 5,000 a month, or 5,000 and 15,000 a month, or it'll give you some useful data like that in the Google Keyword Planner. So back to the using keywords in your content. If you write content, if you write articles, for example, or there's a way for you to show Google that this piece of content is the most important or very important piece of content in my website. Are you disagreeing? Or
I have a question, but I've been told to not ask it, right?
You can say it.
Not overwhelming questions, but
You can ask.
Well, if you have a lot of posts and they're all similar and you're just have which one is going to be the cornerstone?
Yeah.
Can you call them all cornerstone?
I think you can technically, but I don't think you should. I don't think you even can, but I think you can pick more than one as a cornerstone content. So if you have a lot of posts, then you can pick a few, for example, for each category, the cornerstone content. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it is. That's just your way to show Google that these posts are the most important in my website, so put the most emphasis on these.
Okay.
So I think we can do some research about that, how many you can pick, but technically you can pick more than one, I think. And so that's called cornerstone content. And again, when you have your page editing view, it's somewhere where you scroll down, somewhere below the SEO window that there is. It says, click here if this is a cornerstone content. Cornerstone content. Okay. All right. Another thing that is good to talk about the on-page SEO is internal linking structure, and I have been reading that it's actually very important to link to the related content on your content. For example, one way to do this is that you have a content. You talk about web design in one post, but then you talk a little bit about SEO, but you have another article that is completely about SEO, you should take that word SEO and make it a link so that it links to the SEO content. That's like one good way to do that, and if you do that kind of throughout, and that'll be, it'll help Google bots to crawl and index your pages. That's one thing, and Google likes it if you do that. Also other search engines, but actually what I think is like even more important is that when people come to read your content, and that's a way to tell them that I have more content in this website. If you're interested, click here. And then they go read more content. And that's the best thing that can happen to you SEO-wise, because Google will see that people like spending time on your website. All these things.
For instance, like by just creating a HTML link.
Yeah, the anchor tag, which is the link tag. So there's a word and you just make it a link basically to it. It's very, very easy to do.
Jump from that page to that.
Exactly. That one word will be a link or a sentence. Okay, so there's some things that can hurt your rankings too, and I guess some of these are kind of what I've already talked about, but so one of the things that will hurt your content that Google doesn't like at all is duplicate content. If you have the same content in 2 different pages or more, you're probably going to see a warning of duplicate content in your search console, and that's something that should be fixed right away. Sometimes it can happen accidentally, like sometimes your website might be set up in a way that it pulls from one page to the front page, for example, information, and there's duplicate content. But if you get the notification about that, then you should probably do some kind of adjustment so that it wouldn't be in many different pages. Yeah. Then slow loading speed, of course, that's another topic, and there's many factors that comes to loading speed. But if it's slow, I don't actually know exactly if it's gonna hurt or if it's just gonna help your website if you have a good web loading speed. But regardless, if you have slow loading speed on your website, that's gonna be affecting your site rankings, especially if it's slow. So then one thing that is important nowadays is that every website is mobile friendly, and if it's not, then it's a bad thing. You might get some penalties, I think, because of that. So then, of course, you want to make it user friendly. And then another thing that I know that Google punishes you for is thin content. So if you have a page or post and there's barely any content in there, or even if there's only images but no text, Google might see it as thin content. So that's something that is kind of challenged sometimes. If there's pages that you only want to put images on, I feel like it might become an issue with thin content, but I guess you'll see through the Search Console. That's why the Search Console is very important to have, not only for other things, but for yourself, that you see if something on your website is hurting you.
One thing about your site not being mobile friendly is you need to test your site to verify that somebody that has a cell phone that it works on, or an iPad. Any type of mobile devices that you have, whether it's a PC or whatever, you need to verify. Go to that, see if it works, see if it scales down properly. Because guess what? If it doesn't, this is what you use 90% of the time now. Not a laptop, not a PC. So people wanting to be mobile, and if it doesn't scale down properly for you to see it, guess what? They're gone. That's what's really important. It's your SEO's here. But if you don't properly maintain it that way, they're not going to see it, and they're not going to see you.
Right. And there's also Google. I think there's like this tool that is like a mobile friendliness test or something. You can Google that and find it. That's something that gives you like a score with that.
Trust but verify.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm serious because my website, hey, I'm a Santa. Guess what? Mine didn't scale properly.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way. So.
Right.
So what are the best tools to test that out? Because there's several of them out there, and I've gotten different results with different tools, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the only one that I know, I think Google has like some that is mobile friendliness test or something like that, I think. And so that's one way. I haven't even used it because I just I guess I should, but I mean, as long as your website is kind of like designed for mobile first kind of thing, then you should be fine. But of course, there are probably tools.
You should be able to catch like a lot of things just by taking your browser window and just scaling it down to the size of what a tablet or a phone should be.
No.
And you should be able to catch most things. There'll be some quirks based on how the different phone software renders a page. You should be able to catch most.
Google Inspect too.
Yeah.
And through the Inspect panel, when you see everything, you can. There's various reports that you can use there.
Yeah, exactly.
Why the website is slow when you are loading it on fine. My website was working fine earlier, and now we have dedicated UPS server or in-motion hosting.
Okay. And it's slow?
Very slow.
Even though you have dedicated.
Now, finally, they figured out. They said that because you have 2 or 3 different plugins, so the site goes and pick different plugins. But then it's normal. Like every site uses those tools, so it's not just. I
mean, like plugins can hurt. Like that's one thing. I mean, a lot of times it's like the host.
Facebook plugin, Google.
Yeah. A lot of times it's the host, but I don't think it's that in your case. Like that's.
We have a meetup on the third Thursdays of the month is our Ask Anything meetup. Bring those questions to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also the other presentation about that.
Yeah.
I have a question about duplicate content.
Yeah.
Does, can you check, the Google warns you if it's duplicate content?
Like in Search Console, you should be getting some warnings if you have duplicate content or if it's affecting your SEO. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It will only flag you if it's affecting your search engine results?
Yeah. Like if it finds something that is hurting the SEO, then it'll give you a warning about it.
Is there any way you can detect duplicate content before you publish it?
Well, I mean, what are you talking about? Like duplicate content on your own site or on other sites?
Well, it just has duplicate content. I don't know.
Well, duplicate content would be, what they mean by that typically is like you're duplicating the same content on your site in multiple locations.
Like a paragraph is the same or article?
No, the entire article. That's what they mean.
Whole article?
Yeah.
Oh, so the whole page has to be duplicate. So
or some of
so basically, typically in like the Yoast SEO plugin, if you're using post types or that sort of thing, and you have like your taxonomy archive, let's say, for instance, your categories archive, the one that like, if you're, talking about a specific kind of content and that's on the archive list, you don't want to re-index that particular thing in addition to your regular pages. So that you can basically limit that from happening using the Yoast SEO plugin.
So it's not like you would have like a couple paragraphs duplicated someplace else.
No, but typically, I mean, it's not going to be the exact same thing anyway. If you're doing that, then you're probably not doing your content right.
Well, I did hear recently that you were not supposed to duplicate your entire blog article on LinkedIn. I mean, you should give a little paragraph teaser that's worded differently than what is on your blog, to get people to go back to your.
So a quote, or an excerpt from
that's fine.
Page would not flag it.
No.
Yeah, it should be fine,
It
right?
should be worded a little differently though.
Okay.
Maybe not the quote.
Well, a quote or excerpt should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then some things you can do to monitor results. Well, Google Analytics is a very, very good way to do that. You'll find some data like what keywords are bringing you traffic, what are bringing you the most traffic, and I'm going to talk on the next slide about something that is related to that you can do to enforce, like improve your rankings with the Google Analytics. And then those in the bottom are paid ones. They give a lot of information too that is useful. They're just pretty expensive, but so if you're really serious about SEO, you might look into these. But then, of course, one way to check your ranking on some keyword is just to manually search your keyword on Google and see how you rank. There's big possibility that someone else knows more places. I usually only use Google Analytics or like that. So then, about Google Analytics, one way to improve your rankings is also that in Google Analytics you'll see which keywords are working for you, which keywords are already bringing you traffic, and then you can kind of like double down on those on your content. And by the way, about that is that it's a very good idea that if you have posts, that you go back and update those posts and add things and work on. For many reasons, it's good. Google doesn't like if there's outdated content, but also if you make one post, for example, over time you keep improving it, you make it like really good, and then you make it a cornerstone content and everything. It will also mature on Google. It will get some trust because of that, and there's many things that will start driving traffic to your website through that piece of content. And that's one way for you to start really then eventually building your whole website rankings, because you're getting traffic through that one piece of content. So you can, on Google Analytics, you can check those keywords that are already working and then kind of go back to your content and double down on those, but still naturally, not listing keywords.
Could you give us an example of doubling down on a keyword? How would you?
Yeah, like let's say you have a piece of content that has many keywords being used within it, and you go to Google Analytics and you see that some of those keywords are working for you, some of them are bringing you traffic, but some of them are not. So that might be a sign that you can kind of put more emphasis on those that are working, and so then you can find ways to go back and write more or something like that you will be using those same keywords on your website.
You can also apply those keywords that you're finding that are hot and apply those to your additional pages that you have instead of just hitting your landing page.
Yeah. And again, like if at the end of this presentation, like I'd love to have discussions, like if someone knows more about this particular way or like anything, I'd love to hear that. And then kind of outside of your website, you have probably seen, I'll show real quick, these Google results. So if you have a local business that has like an actual address, then business address, then you can be also competing with these Google local pack rankings, and it's a very good way for local businesses. And so the way you would do that is, I'll go back. Yeah, if you have a local business. Okay, so the way you do that is that you create a Google My Business account, and that's what you can find in google.com/business, and you create a business account there of your business, and it'll take you through creating that profile. Basically, it's showing the local pack results are only showing the kind of like the accounts of what businesses have created in the Google My Business. If you haven't created the Google My Business, there's no chance that it's impossible for you to be in the Google local pack. So that's like required for that. And then, yeah. Then I have a few things that I know that affect your rankings in the Google local pack. So that's the local pack is a different kind of ranking than your website. Your website will be in the normal results, and your Google My Business account will be in the local pack. So to affect that specific map search thing, you should first of all fill out all the information that Google asks for. That's like one important thing. Like if you're missing out information, then that's kind of like it's pretty important apparently to fill it out. And so then NAP information is one which is basically name, address, and phone. NAP phone number. So if your NAP information is consistent throughout the web, especially if you have many directories online where you're listed and you have the same NAP information there consistently, that's one thing that will improve your Google My Business optimization. I think it can also be a good thing for SEO in general. So make sure that if you are showing name, address, and phone number, make sure that they're consistent throughout the web. Then one big thing about what helps you, especially for the My Business, for the Google local pack, but also for your website rankings, is that if you get reviews through Google, and especially if they're positive, that's going to be very good. And let's say if you're a local business, you can find a way to give your customers the link that takes them directly to the review page that they can review easily. And if you just get like over 5, I don't know exactly the number, but I think maybe 4 or 5 results if you get, then Google will display the amount of stars that it's your kind of rating. So if they're all good, then it's 5 stars. And so then there's this thing that you can add these images in the My Business account of your business, and those are the images that people see when they go to the local pack and okay, this restaurant has this kind of food and etc. So it's good to add images, and I also found out that it would be a good way to do that is to make the file name the location of where it was taken. So then it'll help with the search results, the local search results. So for example, the street address could be the file name of the image. And then geotag images, I don't know if anyone you can Google how to geotag or geotag your images. And that's another way to like kind of place a location for an image where it was taken. I'm not as familiar with this concept, the Google My Business. I haven't made one by myself because there hasn't been any like need because I don't have local business, but that's basically the information that I know about that. All right, so this is the last slide, by the way, I think, maybe. So really good resource where you can find kind of the newest factors, because everybody probably knows that Google changes the algorithm all the time, and they don't tell you what it is. But what the Moz website has done is that they every year create this like survey. They survey these like agencies and different companies that what factors were the biggest factors in SEO in their opinion throughout the year. So in now 2018, the newest is 2017. and the next year they will release this year's. So that's a very good way to see very clearly even comments like from these different experts that I have noticed that this is very important, and I have noticed that this is very important. So I think you should check it out. It's good article, or basically an article. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions?
That's it. Yeah. Any questions?
I've heard somewhere that the websites now need to be HTTPS for Google rankings now. If you don't have HTTPS, you will be penalized.
Well, they just call it now SSL secure. You have to have a secure certificate.
That's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Starting in July.
Yeah.
Basically,
Now.
from July on, Google will start ranking if you don't have a secure, if your website doesn't have that green lock, you're going to show up as being.
So it will penalize?
It will penalize again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, like
Well,
it is.
Chrome already does it. It's not really Google, it's really Chrome, but Chrome is Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of where it comes
So SSL certificate you can usually get through your hosting. Like there's usually a way that they provide SSL. I really recommend that. First of all, to have a hosting that gives it for free. That's what I prefer. And so it's important to have that for SEO, but in general, if you don't have it, Google might, again, or your browser actually, not Google, but your browser can warn people that this is not safe site because it's not verified with SSL, and it's basically.
So you mentioned in the beginning about off-page. Does that mean that you have to have some kind of articles written about our business and then they need to be forwarded? There should be a linking to our website with those articles.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So let's say you have content in your website, like articles that are on your website, but you find a way for other people to link to them from outside. Whether it's
we link other websites on our website?
No,
like
the other way around. Other websites to link to your website.
Why would they do that?
Sometimes it's like you set up a partnership and affiliation between another site and the two of you. You give backlinks to that site gives you backlinks. Sometimes it's like a review site that's actually, it could be like a LinkedIn thing that you just mentioned.
You've been interviewed, be interviewed by someone?
Right, that is PR.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That gives you
the
an
main thing
opportunity
is
to
all of that
link
needs to be organic. And it should be, it's definitely off page, but it definitely needs to be organic. It can't be something fake. It can't be something that is, you're just paying somebody to stuff their site and links to your site. That's not going to work. Because Google will look at that and blacklist it. It's, they're not stupid. Google they have like mathematical AI engines that basically analyze every single page. And they can tell if someone is stuffing a page with links.
How about, like you mentioned at the beginning, it takes at least 6 months to show results. So that 6 months is once you made everything as per the guidelines and as per philosophy, or it's just a gradual?
Sometimes it doesn't take that long, honestly. I mean, I used to, I would republish websites. This was, again, a couple years ago. But I would republish websites and revamp them, put them in WordPress, that sort of thing, make sure that the content was nicely done and, and organic and not stuff with keywords like it had been when I first got it. And you do the indexing, you do the proper thing with the Search Console, you make sure that all that stuff's pushed through properly. And it can take like sometimes 2 to 3 months to just show up. But if you're talking about like rank writing.
But why take that time? Who's taking that time? Google or it just?
Google is doing both. Google is indexing your site. That's the first thing it's doing, is it's going out to index your site, and you can track that in the Search Console.
Like, I mean, one reason is also because you're not ranking it, so you're not getting much traffic. If somehow you would start getting suddenly hundreds of people to your website, it would probably go really quickly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you wait until your site is properly optimized, and then you push out the landing page and all the ads, and get the crazy hits.
Yeah.
And I think they're just telling you don't expect it to happen overnight, more so than it will be 6 months. It's just kind of a great time frame that, hey, it might take a while, just don't expect tomorrow that you're going to be Amazon or LinkedIn or somebody that's been around for a while and has tons of traffic.
Yeah, like you gain the trust little by little. Yeah.
There's a big hype about connecting Google Analytics to have a view of your site to monitor for, and it's a value to the developer to see what's going on. But does Google take that into account for their SEO
Google
analysis?
doesn't care about having analytics. I mean, if you're talking about like having a feed on the site itself for Google Analytics to analyze.
We were talking about, Monster
Insights, Monster
That's so
Insights.
that you, I mean, the Monster
connects your
Insight
site
is just
to Google
adding the
Analytics.
the Monster Insights is just giving that code that you use for Google Analytics. It's making sure that the two of them are connected. The Search Console is the big one.
Right, but that collects, that Google site collects activity
Yes.
on your site.
Yes.
And it reports back to you.
Yes.
But my question is, then does Google for their search engine,
They don't care.
whatever, do they look at that to see how your site's doing?
No, Google is doing an AI review based on what people are searching for.
Right.
What Google is doing is it's like, okay, you go to the website and say, I'm looking for content on such and such. You ask something to Google. They're tracking the path to it. They're tracking where the person goes. The Google Analytics is basically saying, how long are they staying on your site once they have landed there? That's what the Google Analytics course is doing. It's the one that's actually tracking the traffic at the site.
But it also reports to you the keywords that brought that traffic there.
Yes, because that part is coming from the search results.
Right.
There's two pieces. It's like the site has to be completely analyzed. It has to be read by the AI engines in order to show up in the search results the right way, so that the search that they provide is relevant. That's the biggest piece that Sami was talking about, was that you write your content so that it's relevant. It's not stuff on keywords. That part is the piece that's the analysis that's being done by Google when they index your site. When people do a search, it goes from that piece to your site, and that's when Google Analytics picks up, because what it's doing is the analysis phase. It's picking up, okay, I've arrived at your site based on having that plugin in there and having the analytics tracker code on the site. Now, Google can actually say, okay, so when they're on your site, they're actually going from here, they're following that link, they're going to that link, they're going to that link. Okay, they're staying on that page for exactly 30 seconds. Before they go to that link, this is how deep they're going. All of that analytics can only happen with that Google Analytics code. If you don't do that,
I understand, but my question was, this is a nice pool of information and a great value to the developer. But it would also have great value for Google to see how their quality has been, the quality of the results that they presented to the user and how the user is reacting. So there's like a circle that could be.
The amount of time that you stay on a site is what makes Google understand that that search is relevant.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, is that does Google ever come in and take a peek and use the analytics that it retains?
They get everything. They don't have to come take a peek. They automatically get it. As long as you have a Google Analytics code on your site, that piece has to be there in order for all of the traffic information to be sent back. If that piece is not there, if that Monster Insights isn't installed, if you don't cut and paste the code in with the GA code, that piece, the traffic piece, the part none of that will be available to Google, so they won't know if your piece has been relevant. All they'll know is then the only piece they have available to them, if you don't do the Google Analytics piece, the only piece they have available is what they've indexed and what people are clicking on to go to your site.
Are alternate tags and descriptions of images of any, do they help you?
We covered this in one of our prior talks about alt tags and discussions, but yes, they do.
What discussions? That was
it was the one that we did on the images.
I was here 2 weeks ago.
Wasn't it
They told me to
with,
come today when I asked that question.
wasn't it the disability?
Oh, that was the disability. It was actually like a month ago, more than a month ago. It was the one that we did on accessibility.
What was the question?
The ADA.
What was the question?
It's videotape.
If I put alt tags, what
that was specific
importance is that to my SEO? But we already had those guys come and talk about accessibility. You know, Steve and what's his name? They did a whole, we have it on video and all that.
Yeah.
So what about SEO
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for thinking.
Yeah, you were asking them over here.
Oh.
Okay.
That's true.
Go ahead.
Okay. I know which order we're in here, we lost track. To SEO for specific cities, like if I want to SEO for St. Petersburg, what's the best way to do it? Do I have to actually create a specific page for that? That was the old way, but are you still doing that, or can you do it? Is it a better way to do it?
Do you have like a business address for your business, or is it just going to be a website basically?
No, for my website, yeah. So what I'm saying is, and I don't actually have an address in St. Petersburg, but obviously St. Petersburg is bigger than, say, Largo.
Yeah.
So I want to SEO for St. Petersburg. How do I do that? Do I have to like optimize a separate page just for St. Petersburg?
So you want to be ranking for SEO for St. Petersburg, for example?
Right.
Then you would use that long tail keyword, which is like that itself is going to be a keyword. It's called long tail keyword because it's together.
Right.
And you're going to be using that specific one in your content, and then you will get the chance to rank for those keywords, right?
For your business, is it like your clients and who you're trying to reach, their majority of them are in the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, the majority in Tampa area, yeah. That's the thing. So
you should be able to use Google My Business for that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what Sami was asking kind of about, because you asked him where.
Yeah, like if you have a like address for a business, then you can do the Google My Business.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if you don't, then I guess you can just use those long tail keywords on your content, and then
If your clients are in Tampa Bay or specifically in St. Pete, I mean, obviously they're coming into a specific kind of like a portal of some kind for St. Pete, so that you know who they are, and that's where you would do a Google My Business definitely, because there should be a phone number that's in the 737 area code, that kind of thing,
Right.
so that you have some sort of a presence.
It'll go by like where they're searching. So if I'm sitting here and I'm looking for like Mexican restaurants, it's gonna show me like Mexican restaurants like in the downtown St. Pete area.
Right.
And then if I start scrolling around, I'm like, I kind of want to eat Clearwater because I'm gonna go north. It's gonna, it'll move that way.
So here's my problem. Yeah, I'm really good at Google My Business, and actually I have 2 locations. So I've optimized both of them, but there's so much competition. Obviously, when you first pull up a page, it's only going to show you maybe the top 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And one of the things it uses, of course, is distance. So, and the fact that, okay, I don't have a location in St. Petersburg specifically. My location in Largo. So in Largo, I'll come up pretty high up on that list, but not in St. Petersburg, which is a bigger market.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to work around.
You have to start doing your Yelp publications and everything else like that. Basically, your restaurant's in Largo, it's not in St. Petersburg.
Right.
You're not going to be able to compete with the businesses in St. Pete unless your restaurant is very specific and can get outside. We're talking restaurant right now.
Right.
But if you're trying to pull people from this location over here, yours has to have a reason to pull them over here.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I'm trying with my website, not Google My Business. That's what I'm saying.
If you get reviews, that's going to help. If you use social media, that's going to help. Like any of those things. And then the social media goes for like off-page SEO as well. If you can get like one of the local, I was going to say newspaper, but online publications.
Stuff like that to do a review on it. Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. Basically, that's where, like he's talking about, the off-site optimization is on other St. Pete businesses talking about your St. Pete business that's in Largo.
News stations
is what's going to pull it. But I mean, honestly, that's always going to be a problem because Largo is not really St. Pete.
Right.
And the only way to change it is to either use a zip code that is St. Pete or something of that nature. There was a franchise business that was in Largo, but they wanted to claim St. Pete. They ended up moving their office. They did. They moved the entire. They moved their entire franchise location from Largo to St. Pete in order just to get the business.
But those My Business rankings they already have, I think you can improve those by just putting citations, so the name and address, phone number information to more directories, to more places, and that they're consistent. That's one way to improve those.
Or in St. Pete and do a post office box and just do it that way. I mean, there's methods around it. That's not that's kind of an illegal way to do it, but that's the method.
Right, they cracked down on that with Google My Business, by the way. They don't know that anymore.
Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, we're talking about content, and it seems like a lot of, one particular website I'm doing right now is an e-commerce site, and the gentleman sells refurbished and used like giant tractor trailer, Caterpillar, Cummins engines, and these things. So therefore his inventory isn't astronomical because, you know, you can turn these things over. Now, I understood in other sites that I've done, content, obviously don't put an image as the first thing on your page because the boss, they can't search that, but you put, you know, content. But do you have to do, I've heard 350 words, I mean, that is a boatload when you're talking to people who are looking for a Cummins or Detroit diesel or all of these different parts. I mean, how important is that to have that much robust content?
You have a very specific search parameters. Like his audience has a very specific thing they're looking for. As long as your relevancy for that item is in that page, no, that doesn't have to be 350 words. Because the thing is that it's so specific.
Right.
When you're dealing with a client that was dealing with respiratory stuff, that or like the MRI feeds,
for sure.
The little, you know, the transponders and all that stuff. Everything was incredibly specific. And so every bit of that was like a model name or number and can be used on these different equipment pieces.
And that's kind of like the second part of my question too, is that, let's say he has landing pages being created because there's products for each one. So let's say for diesel engines, he might have, you know, 3 or 4 manufacturers, and the content, some of it, is getting kind of duplicated. So I'm concerned about that as well.
Well, okay, when you're talking about a landing page, it should link to the product pieces,
right? But
it should not repeat the content. If it does that, then that's bad. Right. Because each product piece has the full detail of that particular item. Since he's turning over his equipment so often where he only has like a specific list for a certain amount of times, what I would end up doing is like, this is my current, you know, the month for July. Here's what we got available, you know, and once these go, then we'll switch to the next one. And each one of those would link to the site, but they would not repeat the content unless you're doing like a widget in WooCommerce or something where you're like doing related products or hot products and stuff like that. And again, you're not repeating the entire product page on those pages. Right. You're only doing an image and a title and a bid and go there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. It's like a WooCommerce carousel of sorts. And so when you get to, let's say, a particular manufacturer of engines, you know, we have like 3 or 4 lines of copy that talk about it. And of course, they're all wonderful and they're all just.
You don't even have to go that crazy. I mean, when it all comes down to it, they simplify it. It's relevancy. Know what his audience is looking for. Because their search questions that they ask from the Google side is exactly what they want to land on your page for. So if he knows his audience and he knows what they're looking for, then that's all you really have to work for. It doesn't have to be
more robust in terms of, because I'm trying to pull from him as much information as he can humanly give me on each of his product specs. So, because I know that people will probably Caterpillar 500 horsepower.
Right.
You know, and that's what's going to.
Well, he knows what his audience is. Right. He should, if he's selling on a regular basis. He should know exactly who his audience is and know exactly what they're searching for. And most specialty businesses like that do know exactly what their audience is. And that's the question you've got to ask your clients when you're selling on the site is, who is your audience? How do they search? What do they look for? Get those questions answered.
He's just lazy. He's not giving it to me. So.
Yeah.
That's the strongest part because he is a small business owner.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, he does know. I mean, when they call, just ask him. Just ask him. What do your people ask when they call? You know, what are the main phrase? You know, what are the main little bits they need to know in order to find that item? Because that's what's going to help them find that on his site. And
so I don't have to have 350 words or whatever. That's not.
As long as it's relevant. That's what it all comes down to. It's organic and relevant. If you're writing 300 extra words that have nothing to do with that content, that's not relevant.
No.
First relevant, and then you talk about the rankings after that.
In terms of, you mentioned Cornerstone, Because there are typically any posts on this particular website that I'm working on now. Can you do that with
Landing page.
Okay.
Your landing page for the
We'll do
July
that.
specials.
Okay.
Typically that's what, when I've seen people do the cornerstones, that's typically what they need is that whatever the current hottest item is for that month.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think so. I mean, he gave all the.
I'm sorry.
But I think you did it better than I would have. Yeah,
For SSL certificates.
yeah.
And suddenly you now have a new URL. You were HTTP and HTTPS. What do you have to tell Google step by step? What are the steps to getting, because I have one site that just sort of lost ranking because it didn't quite hit click all the boxes with Google, telling them what changed.
You had HTTP, and then the new is HTTPS, and you want to kind of make everything to go to
Is
the new.
it 301 redirects? Is it going into Search Console, picking the favorite?
Honestly, you know what? If usually, I don't know, especially if you have like iTheme security or some kind of plugin or something that automatically redirects all the requests to that. In other words, if you have something on your website that forces all the requests to go to the HTTPS, I think you should be okay then. Because then everything all the requests for, if someone tries to go to the old website or old HTTP, it should be directed automatically to the HTTPS.
Yeah, if they set up the certificate properly, your 301 redirects in the htaccess file will actually do that. That's part of the hosting. That piece is.
So in other words, you're saying
losing ranking.
You're saying get the hosting in on it.
Get the hosting first. That's going to make sure that everything that comes to the old address goes to the new address.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that controls that little redirect, and it's I don't know what the number is. It's probably it's like either 301 or something. I don't know, but that has to be handled at the host level. The other part of it is the Search Console. It's linking, it's reconnecting, not changing our Google Analytics, not changing the other stuff, pointing and saying, this is the new home for my site is this, and then the indexes will fix.
Yeah, you add a property for the new version of it. Yeah, I think that should be it. About that, by the way, just that reminded me that the Search Consoles can sometimes tell you that this link is broken, this link doesn't work anymore on your website. You will get that on your Search Console and on your Yoast SEO plugin. There's like a tab that says Search Console, and it'll show a list of links that are broken. So you see it right away. The way I deal with those, they have to be redirected to a new site that is working. Usually, if you don't know which it should probably be the landing page of your website or the home page. So the easiest way that I think that I do to do that is that you download this plugin called Redirection, and it's very, very easy to just see the link that isn't working. You copy that, you go to the Redirection plugin, you put that as the source link, and then there's another place where you put redirect to, and then you put the link where you want it to redirect, then click yes, and then that's it, and basically that's all you have to do to redirect those. But it is important to fix those broken links so there aren't 404 errors on your website, which means like web pages that don't work, because it can hurt your website.
Yeah, redirection logs them too. So like if someone comes to your website and you're using the redirection plugin, it will log every 404 error and allow you to easily map that to the correct place. So it's a really nice plugin.
Yeah.
We're at 8 o'clock, so we're probably going to end the questions, or at least close the video down. If you didn't sign in, we need you to sign in so that we can keep track of attendance. Sorry. Thank you, Sami.
You've just watched a recorded presentation from our WordPress St. Petersburg meetup. We meet twice a month on the first and third Thursdays of the month in downtown St. Pete at the Tech Garage. If you've enjoyed this presentation and found it useful, please give it a thumbs up in YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to be notified when new videos are added. You can find out more about WordPress St. Petersburg at our website at tampabaywp.org and at our Meetup site at meetup.com/WordPress St. Petersburg. Thanks.